Hey guys, it's Quinn. As you may or may not know, on Thursday they announced a brief synopsis, the cast, as well as the title of the new James Bond film, Spectre. And these are just my thoughts. This is the first time I've had time to get around to talk to it, so let's just crack at my thoughts for it. Starting with the plot, which is actually a really interesting one, which I think has a lot of potential. A cryptic message for an unlikely source sets James Bond navigating the lairs of a sinister organization known as Spectre. As M continues fighting political pressures that threaten the future of MI6, Bond draws closer to discovering a hidden truth that threatens to destroy everything he has fought to protect. I think that this could mean a lot of things. I think that the most interesting part of the entire movie from this will be who is the main villain between Walt Scott and the Mr. White character, who was actually announced later this week that he'll be in the movie. The most obvious decision would be Walt's as Blofeld, but I feel like that wouldn't be a major surprise, kind of like when we found out that Cumberbatch was the character in Star Trek that was Khan. Like, no shit, he was. I think Mr. White could be a cool direction to become Blofeld. You could say that Quinn was sort of a front for Spectre and then play off that. The one problem I see with this is that this would potentially make a plot pretty confusing, and it could make the movie longer, which we all know is either a hit or miss for the Bond series. Andrew Scott, his character, could be an interesting choice as Blofeld, which would probably be the most difficult to navigate and explain, though. So although this idea could potentially be a great idea, I don't know if it would work well with the film, especially because I believe that he will be the character that's trying to shut MI6 down, so it will be difficult to navigate. Probably the best idea, though, would be to get an actor who hasn't even been announced yet to become the Blofeld. Kind of like in Interstellar with, well, this is a spoiler, Matt Damon character. It'd be cool if that happened. Again, this is all speculation, but for me, the Blofeld character will be the most crucial part of the movie. So yeah, that's what I think about Blofeld, but let's dive into the actual cast. You had Andrew Scott from Sherlock, who will play Denby, if that's how you pronounce it, which is an interesting idea for a character because you already have Mr. White and the Christopher Waltz character in here. So I'm curious about how they're going to navigate him, but I know from what I've heard and from the little I've seen of Sherlock, he's a very good actor. He could bring a lot of extra oomph to the movie, and I think he is a really great choice to be able to lock him down. There's so much you can do with him, as I've discussed earlier. I think, though, he's just going to be the main, white-collar bad guy for this movie, and I kind of like that, I kind of don't, but I think he has a lot of potential and he could be a lot of fun for this movie. Next, you had Dave Bautista from Guardians of the Galaxy, who will play Mr. Hinks. Originally, I thought it was Mr. Jinx, and that kind of freaked me out a little bit, but I'm hoping he's kind of like not like the Mr. Kill character from Die Another Day. I want him to be the traditional henchman, Red Grant, Oddjob. I want him to be that mold. I really want this film to be the 60s equivalent, for Daniel Craig. Every single Bond has one sort of rendition, whether it be Pierce Brosnan with GoldenEye, Timothy Dalton with Living Daylights. I want this to be Bond's sort of 60s film, and I think it could be really cool with this henchman, to make him a silent henchman, just make him really badass, make him Jaws Spy Who Loved Me, Oddjob Goldfinger, make him that kind of memorable henchman, because he has the potential. He's a big guy, he could be a lot of fun, so I think if they use him correctly, he'll be great. Monica Bellucci and Léa Seydoux will play the Bond girls, which is very, very interesting, because I'm not sure the exact age of both, but at least one of them is 50, which will be a very interesting octopushy-esque kind of move. I know she is not going to be like a Maud Adams character, but she could be, and I don't know how they're going to use her. I think it's interesting that they did cast a 50-year-old. I have nothing against. I think she could work well. She will work well in this movie. I don't think there's any way they could botch this. With the way they're structuring it, though, I am a little worried that they'll make her a damsel in distress, kind of like, From Us With Love, Tatiana. That could potentially happen, but I'm not too worried about that because I believe in the screenwriters. I think these two characters will be used well. But another thing, I'm kind of worried that they'll do Quantum of Solace, have one great Bond girl just kill her off and have another semi-weak one. It's just a weird dynamic with these two. Next, and probably the biggest casting of all, you got Christopher Waltz, who will play Oberhauser. I'm hoping he's going to be like the modern-day, Christopher Walken, just pure badass character. I am a little worried, though, that because of this, we're going to feel like we're just getting another rendition of a Spectre film, but again, I love the Sean Connery film, so I have no problem with that whatsoever, but we saw in A View to a Kill how they tried to do something similar to that with Goldfinger, and it just didn't work. So I'm wondering that if they try to do this modern day thing, how it will go. You know my feelings on him. I believe that he'll probably be the Blofeld, which is a good and a bad idea. I think he'll be a good Blofeld, but it won't be that surprising, so I don't know why you wouldn't just call him straight up Blofeld. I may be wrong, but those are just my views on him. One character I do want to touch on is Mr. White, who is returning, and he could be the wild card of the cast solely because there's so many things you could do with him. You know, he could turn good if you really wanted him to. He could become the Blofeld. He could be trying to shut down Spectre. He could be trying to make Quantum go against Spectre. There's so many different things that could happen. He could have written the letter. He could be helping the Andrew Scott character. I don't know. He's just such a great character, and I'm glad they're bringing him back because he was basically the only good part of Quantum Solace. So the fact that you're bringing him back, I believe, is a good idea. I really hope, though, that this doesn't mean they're bringing back Quantum from the dead, because that's just not a good idea from anyone's point of view. So he is a very interesting part of this cast. Anyways, yes, we got a new Aston Martin, the Aston Martin DB10, which I think is a very cool car. I'm not a huge, guy on cars. I know a few. I don't know that many, though. This just looks like a solid car. I'm glad that they brought the DB5 back for the other film. This one's a nice, cool car, and I'm glad they're introducing it. It's a nice car. One thing that's not been talked about yet is who will do the theme song, and I know that that'll be announced on a future date. They've just gotten the name of the title, so now they're going to start to write it. But I think there's a few people that have been thrown around that could be a good idea. You got Quinn and Shirley Bassey, which I think are the two frontrunners. For me, I wouldn't mind either way, but I think a nice, solid Shirley Bassey film, because she did make some of the great theme songs of the 60s, could be really cool. For me, if you're doing a movie with this type of plot, though, I think you should avoid a modern-day artist like Kanye West, and this has been thrown around, this is in mine, One Direction, which would be god-awful, and I think both of which names have been mentioned as contenders. That's the only reason I'm bringing them up. So for me, I just think keep it old, keep it classy, and it'll be fantastic. So yeah, that's what I've heard for the new Bond film Spectre. I think there's a lot of potential. There's a great cast for this film. Although I'm not too familiar with any of these actors, really, from what I've heard, they're very solid. They look the part. I think they're going to be great. I think Daniel Craig, even though you guys know I prefer a lot of Bonds over him, he's done a great job, and I think he could work really well in this type of film. I think this is the film that he needs. Although Casino Royale and Skyfall were very, very good, I think that this will be a very definitive one. It will be tough to beat either of those two, but I think if this film's done extremely well, this could do it. This could be his Bond film, one that overtakes, the greatness of GoldenEye, Casino Royale, all of those great ones. I think that this has the potential. I just really hope they don't botch this. My feeling has always been that the Bond series will end at Bond 25, solely because I think they're going to either kill him off or something like that, because the Bond series has been going on for a long time. But I hope that if they're going to do that this film's really nice and solid, because I don't want to go out on a weak note. So yeah, that's just my thoughts on the film. Whatever you guys think, leave in the comment section below. And I know I am a little late on this, it's just I wanted to really make sure I got a thorough representation of what I thought the film was going to be. So yeah, leave your comments below on what you think is going to happen in this film. And as always, like, share, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Ciao.